Good morning, children. Today we will study about World Trade Organization. We have seen that the liberalization of foreign trade and investment in India was supported by some very powerful international organizations. So some very powerful international organizations, they support the foreign trade and investment in India. That organization is basically World Trade Organization. These organizations say that all barriers to foreign trade and investments are harmful. So these organization, that is World Trade Organization, says that all barriers to foreign trade and investment is always harmful. So there should be no barriers between the trade between the countries. Trade between countries should be free. So the World Trade Organization says that the trade between the countries should be free. All countries in the world should liberate their policies, and as a result, the World Trade Organization says that every countries of the world or all countries of the world should liberate their policies for the world trade. World Trade Organization is one such organization whose aim is to liberate international trade. So the main aim of the World Trade Organization is to liberate the international trade. Started at the initiative of the developed countries, World Trade Organization establishes rules regarding international trade and sees that these rules are obeyed. So the World Trade Organization, it was started by the initiatives of the developed countries, and the World Trade Organization establishes the rules. The World Trade Organization makes the rules for regarding the international trade and also sees that these rules are obeyed by each and every country. Nearly 160 countries of the world are currently members of World Trade Organization. So by June 2014, 160 members were the countries were the members of the World Trade Organization. Though World Trade Organization is supported to allow free trade for all, in practice it is seen that the developed countries have unfairly retained their barriers. So it has been seen, though the World Trade Organization was started to free all the barriers for the international trade, but in practice it has been seen that the developed countries have unfairly retained trade barriers. So developed countries, they have retained their trade barriers through the unfair means. On the other hand, World Trade Organization rules have focused the developing countries to remove trade barriers. On the other hand, the World Trade Organization have made the rules and regulations so that the developing countries are forced to follow the rules and regulations and also the barriers. So World Trade Organization rules have forced the developing countries to remove trade barriers. So the rules made by the World Trade Organization has removed or forced to the developing countries to remove the trade barriers. An example of this is the current debate on the trade in agricultural product. A very good example is given in your book with the debate on trade practices. This debate is on the agriculture sector for the bulk employment and the significant portion of the GDP in India. Compare this to the developed countries such as the US, with the share of agriculture in GDP at 1% and its share on total employment is tiny 0.5%. So the developed countries like America, they have their GDP, agricultural GDP as 1%, and the total share in the employment is only 0.5%. Means they basically depend on the secondary and also the tertiary sector. And yet this very small percentage of people who are engaged in agriculture in US receives massive sum of money from the US government for production and for export to other countries. And these people who are engaged in the agricultural business, they receive lots of money from the US government for the production and export of the agricultural goods to the foreign countries. Due to this massive money they receive, US farmers can sell the farm products at the abnormally low price. As a result, the farmers of the US are able to sell the farm products at a very low price. The surplus farm products are sold in the other country markets at low price adversely affecting the farmers in those countries. So the farmers of the US, as the farmers of the US is able to sell their product at a very low price, no one is able to compete in the international market. So this proves that the World Trade Organization has forced the developing countries farmer to follow the barriers or to remove the barriers of trade, while the developed countries, they have made certain rules and regulations by which their people are able to put the barriers by the unfair means. Developing countries are therefore asking the developed country governments, we have reduced trade barriers as per World Trade rules, but you have ignored the rules of World Trade Organization and have continued to pay your farmers vast sum of money. So we can see that how the developed countries are using the World Trade Organization rules to suppress the developing countries. You have asked our government to stop supporting our farmers, but you are doing so yourself. Is this free and fair trade? So by the unfair means, we can see that the developed countries, how they use the World Trade Organization rules and use the unfair means in the process of the trade barriers for the benefit of their countries. Today only this much. Thank you.